My God! My God! Why have you forsaken me?
Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven.
Where is he?
You should not be here, child.
Everyone keeps saying that, but nobody answers my question. Where is he? They said he died. They said they put him in a tomb. But I've been watching and the tomb doesn't feel finished. It feels like something is still happening inside it.
What is your name?
Eli, it means my God.
And why Eli, son whose very name calls on God? Why do you want to know what happens inside the tomb?
Because everyone is crying. The women who followed him, they are weeping. His disciples are hiding behind locked doors. The whole city feels like it forgot how to breathe. And I need to know if they are crying for nothing, or if they are crying because they don't understand yet what is actually happening.
That is a very wise question.
So will you answer it?
What do you already know, child? Tell me what you have seen, what you have heard.
I know he rode into Jerusalem and everyone praised him. I know. He ate with his friends on Thursday night and broke bread and said it was his body. I know soldiers came in the night and took him. I know they beat him. I know they put a crown of thorns on his head. I know they nailed him to a cross. I know he cried out, my God, why have you forsaken me? And I know he said it is finished, and then he died. But finished doesn't feel like the end. It feels like the beginning of something. What was finished, and what begins now here in the silence between Friday and Sunday?
Psalm 22:1. He cried it from the cross, my God, why have you forsaken me? David wrote those words 1,000 years before the cross, and the Son of God fulfilled them in his own body. What was finished, Eli, was the debt. Every sign, every failure, every darkness carried by every human soul from Adam until the last breath of the last man. It was placed upon him, all of it, at once.
All of it.
Isaiah 53:6, the Lord has laid on him the iniquity of us all of it, and he carried it to the cross, into death, and beyond.
Beyond. So something happened after he died. Something is happening right now today, Saturday, while everyone mourns.
Come, Eli, walk with me. I will not take you beyond what you are permitted to see, but I will show you, as much as a child of earth is allowed to witness, what this day truly is. Holy Saturday is not an empty day. It is not a waiting Rome. It is not silence for silence's sake. It is the most active day in the history of creation, and almost no one on earth understands that.
Then tell me everything. Is he in there?
His body is, but he, the fullness of who he is not contained by stone. Eli, he was never contained by anything. While his body rests in the tomb, the work continues. The work that began before the foundation of the world. The work that the cross completed in payment and that this day completes in power.
What work? What is he doing?
Before the cross, there was a place, a holding place, for all who died in faith before the sacrifice was made. Abraham was there. Moses, David, Isaiah, every soul who believed God's promise but lived before the promise wore flesh and walked the earth. They waited in hope, knowing something was coming, but not yet seeing it fulfilled.
And now he went to them.
1 Peter 3:18-19. He was put to death in the body but made alive in the spirit, through whom he also went and made proclamation to the imprisoned spirits. He descended, not in defeat, in triumph. The king does not descend into the depths because he is conquered. He descends because even death, even the farthest reaches of separation, must hear his voice and answer to his authority.
So while the disciples were hiding, while the women were weeping, while the whole world thought it was over,
he was preaching, proclaiming, declaring that the debt was paid, that the door was open, that every soul held in faithful waiting could now be carried home.
He went into the darkest place, so that no one who believed would ever have to stay there.
Ephesians 4:8-9. When he ascended on high, he took many captives and gave gifts to his people. What does he ascended mean except that he also descended to the lower, earthly regions? He went down so he could bring them up.
But why did he have to die at all? Why couldn't God just forgive everyone? Why did it have to be like this? Why did it have to be so painful?
Because justice and love are not opposites. Eli, they are both the nature of God, and both had to be satisfied. Romans 6:23. The wages of sin is death. That is not a threat. That is the law of a holy universe. Sin produces death, spiritual, physical, eternal separation from God. Every human soul owed that debt. Every single one.
But he didn't sin.
No, he did not. He was the only one in all of human history who did not, which made him the only one who could carry what did not belong to him. 2 Corinthians 5:21. God made him who had no sin to be sin for us, so that in him we might become the righteousness of God. He took your place, Eli. He took every human being's place. The innocent standing in for the guilty. The pure absorbing the punishment of the corrupt. Love demanded it. Justice required it. And he chose it.
He chose all of this for us.
John 10:18. No one takes my life from me, but I lay it down of my own accord. I have authority to lay it down and authority to take it up. Again, that stone was never a prison. It was a pause.
Something is building. I can feel it.
But before Sunday comes, God himself will speak over this moment, over this day, over what his son endured and why. And when God speaks, even the stone listens.
I want to hear him.
Then be still, Eli, and know. Psalm 46:10, be still and know that I am God.
It is not over. They sealed the stone. They posted the guards. They went home satisfied that the story had ended. But a story that God authors cannot end where men decide. I am the resurrection and the life. I declared it before the cross. I declare it now inside the tomb. Death has not changed what I am. It has only become the stage on which I prove it. John 11:25, I am the resurrection and the life. Whoever believes in me, though he die yet, shall he live.
He's speaking from inside.
He never stopped.
Friday was not my defeat. Friday was the payment. Every nail chosen, every hour of darkness permitted, every moment of silence from heaven necessary. The Father did not abandon me. He honored the covenant that was made before the earth was formed. Psalm 16:10, you will not abandon my soul to Sheol or let your Holy One see corruption. David wrote that 1,000 years before this tomb. The Father made a promise over my life before I ever drew breath as a man, and promises made by God do not expire in the dark.
He knew. Even before he came to earth, he knew this would happen.
Revelation 13:8, the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world before the first human being sinned. The solution was already prepared. The cross was not a crisis response. It was a covenant fulfilled.
I want you to understand what this day is. This Saturday, this silence that the world mistakes for absence. This is the day the keys changed hands.
Keys? What keys?
Revelation 1:18, I am the living one. I was dead, and behold, I'm alive forever and ever, and I hold the keys of death and Hades. Death had a door, Eli, and before this day, mankind had no key to open it from the inside. Every soul that entered stayed. The door only swung one way.
I came for the keys. I did not come merely to die. I came to disarm. Colossians 2:15, having disarmed the powers and authorities, he made a public spectacle of them, triumphing over them by the cross. What the enemy called his greatest victory was his undoing. He celebrated Friday. He does not yet understand Saturday, and Sunday will be his terror.
This is my son, Matthew 3:17. This is my son, whom I love, with him I am well pleased. I spoke those words over him at the Jordan, before the ministry, before the miracles, before the cross, before the tomb. And I speak them now on this silent Saturday with the same certainty, the same pleasure, the same love. Let me tell you what this day is from where I stand. From where men stand, this is the day of absence, the day God went silent, the day the miracle worker is sealed behind stone and the future is uncertain and the enemy appears to have won. From where I stand, this is the day the greatest transaction in the history of eternity is being completed. This is the day the debt is processed, the day the covenant is sealed in blood that does not lose its power, the day between the payment and the proof. Romans 3:25-26. God presented Christ as a sacrifice of atonement through the shedding of his blood to be received by faith. He did this to demonstrate his righteousness, because in his forbearance he had left the sins committed beforehand unpunished. He did it to demonstrate his righteousness at the present time, so as to be just and the one who justifies those who have faith in Jesus. I am just. I cannot overlook sin. I cannot wave away what justice demands. The wages of sin is death, and that wage must be paid in full. That is not cruelty. That is the architecture of a moral universe. Good and evil are not equal. Righteousness has weight, and what violates righteousness carries consequence. But I am also love, and love found a way that justice could not object to. 1 John 4:10, this is love, not that we loved God, but that he loved us and sent his Son as an atoning sacrifice for our sins.
He solved it. He solved the problem himself.
Yes, child. I did not demand payment and then wait for humanity to find a way to pay. I came myself, in flesh, through a woman, into poverty, into rejection, into the full weight of human suffering. John 1:14, the Word became flesh and made his dwelling among us. I did not send a representative. I did not send a substitute from the outside. I sent myself, wrapped in the very nature of the ones who owed the debt, so that the payment would be accepted from within the human family. Romans 8:3. What the law was powerless to do, because it was weakened by the flesh, God did by sending his own Son in the likeness of sinful flesh. Now let me speak about this silence, this Saturday silence that breaks the hearts of those who do not yet understand it. I have never been silent out of absence. I have been silent out of completion. There are moments in my work where words would interrupt what action is accomplishing. Friday was the action. Saturday is the completion. And I do not narrate what I am still finishing. Isaiah 55:8-9. My thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways. As the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. The disciples locked their doors on Saturday. They wept, they doubted, they scattered. They did not have to mourn as those without hope. I had told them, my Son had told them 3 times clearly that he would rise on the 3rd day. Matthew 16:21. They heard it. And in the hour of Saturday, they forgot it. Because grief, when it is great enough, can make the promises of God feel distant. I do not condemn them for it. I understand it. But I want every soul who will ever walk through their own Holy Saturday to hear this clearly. My promises do not expire in your grief. My word does not weaken in your silence. What I have spoken, I will perform. What I have promised, I will fulfill. The stone being sealed did not unsay a single word I had spoken. Numbers 23:19. God is not human that he should lie, not a human being that he should change his mind. Does he speak and then not act? Does he promise and not fulfill? And now I speak to what I am about to do. Acts 2:24. But God raised him from the dead, freeing him from the agony of death, because it was impossible for death to keep its hold on him. Impossible. Not difficult, not unlikely, not improbable, impossible. Death could not hold my son, not because death is weak, but because my son is life itself. You cannot permanently contain in death the one who is the author of life. John 14:6. I am the way, the truth, and the life. Saturday has an expiration. Darkness has a limit. The stone has an appointment, and that appointment is not made by men. Weep through Friday, rest through Saturday, but do not make your home in the tomb. Sunday is coming, and when I move, no stone stays sealed.
It's moving. It's actually moving.
Matthew 28:2. There was a violent earthquake, for an angel of the Lord came down from heaven and now going to the tomb, rolled back the stone and sat on it. The stone was not moved to let him out. Eli, he had already risen. The stone was moved so that we could look in, so that the evidence would be visible, so that no one who came seeking would be turned away by a sealed door. Romans 8:11. And if the spirit of him who raised Jesus from the dead is living in you, he who raised Christ from the dead will also give life to your mortal bodies because of his spirit who lives in you. The same power that rolled the stone lives in every believer who has surrendered their life to Jesus Christ. The resurrection is not just a historical event. It is a present reality. It is not just something that happened to him. It is something that happens in you.
Sunday is coming for you. I don't know when, but I know this a God who kept his promise inside a sealed tomb in the dark with no audience, with no one watching, will absolutely keep his promise to you.